Hey you guys, it's Cayley. I'm back with another What Sold From Last Week video. In today's video, I'll be going over all of my sales on eBay and Poshmark that I sold last week. I'll do a quick breakdown of the numbers as well as show you some items that I've pieced together. That way you know what you can look for while you're at your local thrift store to flip online for a profit. Let's jump in. Okay, so these sales here on the screen happened between February 13th through February 19th. My sales have been slow for the past few weeks. I attribute that to leading up to Valentine's Day, the Super Bowl, as well as some changes on both eBay and Poshmark during seller updates or app updates. And I think it's just kind of caused a stall in a lot of sales. However, for me personally, Poshmark really came through these past few weeks to make up for my lack of eBay sales. So I'm really happy with that. And I overall am still happy that I broke over 3,000, even though I would consider this a pretty slow sales week for us. But towards the end of the week, I did start noticing an increase in sales. And so hopefully we'll be back to normal with what we normally sell before we move into summer slowdown. In total, I sold 89 items for a gross sales total of $3,092.10, making my average sale price $34.74. My estimated cost of goods based on an average buy cost was $356 for everything that sold last week, and then my estimated net was $1,904.66. On eBay, I sold 52 items. On Poshmark, I sold 37. Gross sales on eBay were over $1,800, and on Poshmark, they were over $1,200. We'll start with some of the eBay sales. This was probably my favorite sale of last week. This was my personal item from when I was a kid that I never opened, that has just been in storage. I recently went through that storage and I almost donated this, but I thought I would do a quick comp since it was still in the packaging. To my surprise, this particular one has a very high sell-through rate. It's really rare and they sell very frequently, and I actually have two of them. So I listed them both. One of them has sold already. I believe I listed them for $100 or best offer. This first one that sold on an offer, 2 watchers for 10% off, so it sold for $90, and this is at a zero cost to me because, like I said, it was just in my storage. So if you guys have older toys, especially if they're still in packaging, I definitely look them up before you just go donating them. Next up is this Revolve brand called Super Down. I picked this up because I realized it was Revolve and it was new with tags. It does seem to be, especially on Poshmark, a really good brand in dresses to sell, and I just kind of liked the pattern of this one. This one actually sold on eBay. I picked it up for $4.99. It sold for full asking price of $39.99. Here's another dress, and I wanted to show all these because as we move into warmer weather, you might consider looking at the dress section in the women's department, as they are more substantial pieces, and that's what people are going to be picking up for spring. This is a Garnet Hill, which is a brand I really enjoy picking up, especially in more substantial pieces. They have a really great following. I paid $4.99 for this. It did sell for my full asking price of $34.97, and it's just a plaid shirt dress. Next up is a men's brand I suggest you look for. It's called Mack Weldon. In particular, these shorts do pretty good. Nothing necessarily to write home about, however, very consistent sellers. This one I priced up a little bit higher. I think I had it priced at $35 or best offer. Because of the print is why I priced it a little bit higher. I paid $4.99 at a thrift store, and I accepted an offer of $29. I like to show some of the Nike pieces that I sell because I think a lot of people pass on Nike, but if you focus on certain lines, it can be a really good brand to pick up, not only at the bins, but also at regular thrift stores. Especially the Thermafits, like this one here, and anything fleece lined I find does pretty good, but as always, do your comps on your specific items. I paid $4.29 for this hoodie. It's a Thermafit fleece lined, and I accepted an offer of $30 on this. This is a Torrid women's kind of utility jacket. Torrid does really well for me. Obviously, the more substantial pieces like this jacket, I can ask for a little bit more. I paid $4.99 for it and accepted an offer of $30. This was one of my favorite sales this week. This is something I've talked about in thrift hauls before, but to keep your eye out for the Y2K chunky heel looking shoes, regardless of brand. This is just by the brand Mud, which I think we all know is not a brand I would suggest looking for. However, this particular style with the clunky heel The fact that it looks vintage made me purchase these. I paid $4.99 for them. They did sell for my full asking price of $59.88. Great return on investment. Couple things when you find shoes like these, definitely suggest a couple keywords like chunky heel and Y2K. I think both of those things make a huge difference. And then I think the fact that I had a size 10 also helped to sell this item. Next up is one of my favorite things to sell, and that is bras. And actually, I have been going to the regular thrift stores and going down the bra aisle. If they're selling for $1 or $2 and I notice Victoria's Secret in a good style or a larger size, I will pick it up for a couple bucks versus only getting them at the bins. So I actually picked this one up for $2.99. It sold extremely quickly for $19.92. And for a quick flip, I thought that was a really good return on investment. Next up is another dress. This is by the brand Title IX. They make kind of sporty women's like golf wear looking stuff. This one I paid $4.99 for. It sold on an offer for $26.93. This is one of my tried and true brands. This is the brand Eileen Fisher. The reason I priced this so low was because even though it said it was made out of Italian yarn, it did not have the exact material content on the inside. That part had been cut out, so I priced this a little lower. Had it had that, I probably would have priced it a little bit higher. But this is a great brand to pick up, especially in sweaters. I paid $4.69 for this. It sold very quickly for full asking price of $24.92. This is one of my favorite men's brands to sell. It's Carbon to Cobalt. I pick up almost everything in this brand. This is just a pretty basic men's raglan kind of baseball t-shirt. I paid $3.75 for this. Thrift stores don't usually know much about this brand, so they don't get priced up typically, at least where I'm at. And they're pretty tried and true sellers, like I said. This sold for my full asking price of $24.92. Here is another dress. Another great dress brand to sell is Bowden. I picked this one up mainly because it was a larger size, so it's a size 14 US. Just a short sleeve, shorter length dress. Paid $4.99. It sold very quickly for $24.92. Moving on to some Poshmark sales. I was really happy with this sale. I picked these cowboy boots up at a regular Goodwill for $4.99. And nobody else, I guess, knew what they were. The brand, I think it's pronounced Lucchese. If you see this brand, even if it might have a little bit of wear, I would definitely look into it. This is the like #1 boots brand for reselling, and they sell for a ton. Depending on what you have, you can ask even more for this. These ones were pretty simple, but they were a nice leather, larger size 14. You can see that I did note there was a little bit of wear to them. I think I had them priced at $250, obviously, or best offer on Poshmark, but I only paid $4.99. I accepted an offer of $170, and I thought that was a great return on investment. Definitely keep your eye out for this brand, Lucchese. Another pair of shoes that sold on Poshmark were these Olukai shoes. Typically, I'm finding Olukai in the men's department. However, I found these women's slip-ons and they seem to be doing pretty good. So I picked these up. They were in almost new condition. There was a little bit of mark to the sole, but the outside of it felt really good. I paid $4.99. They sold for $55. And just in general, I would say that Olukai is a great brand to pick up, especially in men's, but it looks like the women's do pretty good as well. This is another men's piece that I sold. This one was new with tags. It was by the brand Cabela's. Cabela's, depending on what you have, can have a following, and so I do like to look up more substantial Cabela's pieces. These ones were lined with fleece, which is why we picked them up, in addition to them being new with tags. Also a larger size in a 40 by 34. Paid $4.99 for these, and they sold for $51. Here's another Eileen Fisher piece. Again, I pretty much pick up anything Eileen Fisher. This is even an older tag, but it's still sold for quite a bit. I paid $3.99 for this. It sold for a full asking price of $29, and it's just, like I said, an older style one-button cardigan. Picked up this Vans t-shirt at the bins. Vans seems to have a following, and when it's at the bins, I don't mind picking it up. This one had a flames graphic on the back of it, so we made sure to include that as the cover photo. This sold very quickly for $25, and we probably paid $1 for it. Next up is another great men's brand to be on the lookout for. It is Billy Reed, and this is just a men's pretty pretty plain cotton pullover. I picked this up for $4.69 at a thrift store. It sold for $29. And last item is this BB women's jacket. I almost did not pick this up. I found this at the bins. I almost didn't pick it up just because BB is not typically a brand that I would get. However, this was 100% leather and it had kind of a biker look to it. I almost steered away from it because of all the ruching. I thought that was kind of outdated. However, again, really glad I picked it up. Decided to get it because it was cheap at the bins and the leather was in good condition, and it sold very quickly to my surprise for $51, and I've already got positive feedback. Alright guys, that's it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. If you didn't watch that last Ship With Me video where I talked about the fact that we are in a new office, tons of new stuff have been going on, not only in my office life but also my personal life. So I will catch you guys up very soon, but make sure that you are subscribed and hit that notification bell down below, because we are going to do a tour of the new office, kind of show you where we're at with it and how we're planning on setting everything up, as well as maybe get your opinion on a couple things that we're not sure about. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next one.